They have no respect. They cannot associate with drug dealers, drug addicts, murderers, people with robbery charges, which is very common. They cannot.
Hey, this is Matt Cox, and I'm here with Josh from DOCTV813. And we're going to be reacting to I'm a former federal inmate.
Yes, sir.
And Josh is a former state
inmate.
Convict.
There you go.
See, he can say convict. I wouldn't say convict because I don't fit in the convict category. I think you have to be tough to be a convict, so I don't really.
That's the word.
Yeah. So, all right. So we got TikToks here, and I'm recording, and we're gonna go ahead and what am I doing here? I'm hitting this one,
which, by the way, is going viral on TikTok.
Oh yeah, these are going viral.
Yeah.
These are like viral videos on TikTok about prison. So here's one.
In prison, instant coffee, a brown paper bag, some honey, and something so you don't make a mess, or you can use a brown napkin. Tear off the size of paper you need. Pour out just a little bit of instant coffee.
What is this? What's he doing?
Couple drops of water.
I think he's making like a fudge or something.
Oh shoot!
After
He's making a burrito.
Drop your wrap in it.
A wrap.
Oh, he's making rolling?
Make sure you get both sides covered real good.
Oh, he's making coffee paper to roll cigarettes up in and weed. That's what they smoke it out of.
You only need a tiny bit of
because it burns slower.
Okay, we're gonna pass this one because I don't.
That's a state thing, I think.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
if you're in federal prison and your BB ain't willing to do this on your birthday, just focus on yourself.
You hear that?
No. What'd it say?
So this is someone who's in federal prison. It looks like they're in the federal holdover, and they're having a birthday party on the outside of the prison, or outside of the holdover. It looks like a U.S. Marshal holdover in Atlanta. Federal prison. See, they're saying federal prison. A lot of people will say, "Oh, he's in prison," when really they're just in like a U.S. Marshal holdover or they're in jail. People don't know the difference between jail. Like guys will be, "Oh, yeah, my cousin's in jail. He's been in jail for about 5 years." He hasn't been in jail for 5 years.
Yeah, unless he's like fighting a murder. Or something.
He's in prison. Yeah, I only know I do know a guy that did 5 years in the U.S. Marshals holdover while they were fighting their charge. But at some point, it's over.
Yeah, that's rare. But dude, those people are dedicated to fucking his life, though. They're outside of jail.
He just got locked up. You know, if he's in the federal marshal holdover, he just got locked up.
So that's like their intake, right? Like where you all have to go?
Yes, exactly. Well, no, let's say you get arrested and they're holding you. Initially, the marshals, when you get arrested, you're not in prison. You're not in jail. You're in the marshal's holdover. Oh, okay. So because you don't go to the county jail, you don't have a county or a state charge. You have a federal charge. So the U.S. the U.S. marshals have these little agreements with all the state or with all the county jails to hold their inmates in a special unit. So they won't mix U.S. Marshal holdovers or federal prisoners or federal
with state inmates.
Yeah. So
I wonder why that is.
I mean, because bro, you can't put me in with a bunch of state guys. I mean, they're dangerous. They're not. These are guys that are robbing people for purses or breaking into cars and stuff. And I'm
like street crimes.
Right. Yeah. So you can't.
I heard the feds though is filling up with people like that because now they're indicting like everybody for drug cases.
It's been filling up like that for the past 10 years, 10 or 15 years, really, because when the feds came in and started arresting people for gun crimes and for like crack and stuff like that. So it just completely deteriorated the type of inmate that you got in federal prison. So suddenly you've got guys they're in there for tax evasion who are locked up with guys that, got arrested on a crack case. So like some guy brought a gun to a $5 to a $10 crack sale. And now he's locked up with a guy who's doing 5 years for multi-million-dollar tax evasion, who owns a power plant,
right? And
they're cellies. What do these two guys have in common? I mean, So you got the crack guy extorting the guy who's got a master's degree or something.
I know, bro. That's crazy.
All right. So this guy. What about this guy? This is horrible. All of these are horrible, by the way. This is pregnant. This chick's pregnant. Oh, listen, I know a guy that he was in the Atlanta State Prison, or I'm sorry, the federal prison in Atlanta. the pen and got his girlfriend pregnant. Because what they did was they had in the visitation room they had set up where you take pictures. You know how you take pictures?
Yeah.
You can take pictures in the visitation room. So they have an inmate photographer that will take pictures of you, and you stand in front of like a background. Well, guys would go there to get their pictures taken, then they'd act like they were walking back to their seat, and they'd actually go in behind the. So we're talking about maybe you've got like this much space between the wall and the backdrop. And they would go back there and have sex with their girlfriend or wife while guys are on the other side of the backdrop are standing there.
Lookouts?
No, standing there getting their picture taken.
Oh, they don't even know someone's back there?
No, they do. Like the photographer knows that these guys walked back there and had sex with their girlfriend.
That's
so
crazy.
I knew a guy named John Gordon. John Gordon got his wife, or his girlfriend, sorry, he got his girlfriend. I think he got 30 years for shooting a DEA agent.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, well, it was one of those setups where it was one of those reverse stings where somebody went to Gordon and said, look, we know where there's drugs in this, let's say, this house. So Gordon breaks into the house. Well, it was an informant. This was a big thing for the DEA. What they would do is they would go and they'd go to somebody and they coerce them into robbing someplace. So they'd go, hey, man, I know where there's like $200,000 in this house. Nobody's in there. There's one guy protecting it. There's some drugs and $200,000. All you got to do is rob the place. And it's just, the guy didn't even have a gun. Are you serious? Yeah, bro, it's my cousin and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So then the guy gets another guy, and then they drive to the place, and they run in and they kick in the door with their guns. And, of course, the DEA's in there.
See, that's bullshit, man.
Well, they did that for about 5 years, and then they made them stop doing it because there was one case where it was so egregious that they basically got a kid who was like 18 or 19 years old, and they convinced this kid and another kid to come with them on a robbery. So what happened is, so they go to these two kids and they convince them, like the snitch is like, bro, I'll go with you. And then as he's like, there's a couple $100,000 in this dope house. And so the kids are really like, I don't know, man. Like, come on. Then he talks them into it. Yeah. It's so easy, bro. I've done it before. We just go in and rob the place. The guy's like, okay. The kids are like, okay. So this one kid's like, okay. And then he goes, bro, can you get a car? And he's like, yeah, I can get a car. Well, he can't get a car. Then he says, I can't find a car. I can't get a car. I don't have a car. Okay, well, I'll bring the car. I'll pick you up. He goes, do me a favor, bro. He said, go get like a badge and like some handcuffs. And a gun, so you can pretend like you're the cops.
Another charge.
Right. He's trying to do add enhancements, so he can give the kid more and more time.
That's crazy.
So
man.
The kid's like, yeah, I'll go get like a badge, so we want to act like we're police.
Yeah.
So he tries to talk the kid into it. The kid ends up the day they're supposed to do it. He calls him on the phone, bro. Did you get the badge? Get the gun? He's like, nah, man. I got the badge. I can't find a badge. And the guy goes, man, I'll bring your badge. And he goes, did you get a gun? He says, yeah, I got a gun. He went to like his grandfather's house and got a gun that was like a 1930 revolver that didn't work, and he had no bullets. So he brings a non-functioning weapon and gets in the car, and they're driving to the dope house talking about robbing it. And when they pull up in front of the dope house, they both get out, and as they're walking towards the house, the DEA comes in, or it might have been the ATF. They come in and they grab him and they arrest him. And, of course, the kid's got one, he didn't bring, they charge him, of course, they charge him with impersonating an officer because he had a badge with him and some handcuffs that the other guy brought.
Firearm.
Right. They charge him, of course, they charge him with the firearm. And they charge him with a firearm that doesn't work. And so the kid's looking at 15 years. So you're looking at 15 years. Now, granted.
For nothing.
And you didn't rob the place. There was never a house to rob. And basically what the guy is saying is, look, we kick in the door, we take the money. There's one guy in there, he has no gun. So I get it. It's home invasion, maybe. It's whatever it is. Look, it's fucked up. It's entrapment.
Right.
You got a kid who doesn't have a job, who's sitting on the couch all day, who can't do anything, and he's being coerced into doing something he would have never done on his own.
Yeah, you're enticing him with money and all the other shit.
And then you give him enhancements. That was the big thing, the way they kind of got around it was like, look at all the they were trying to give this kid the most time they could.
So
what they did was they started reversing that whole thing. So now they literally have the statistics where like in 1 year they had done like 400 of these. The next year they did like 1,500. The next year they did like 4,500. Like it was outrageous how many they were doing because it works. Because they realized we can get almost anybody to do this.
Right, exactly.
So Anyway, they ended up saying, hey, we can't do reverse stings anymore. And then it trickled down to nothing because it was such a big backlash. There was a huge bunch of articles about it.
I'm sure people were appealing their shit left
right.
and right.
Yeah, it was outrageous. But that's what, yeah, bro, it's bad.
But normal society doesn't know that's how the feds work. Is they're
oh yeah. Well, you know, it's funny.
trying to bury you.
I interviewed Seth, Ferrante the other day, and we were talking. And, you know, like when we were talking, he was thinking when he got arrested, like, well, they don't have the drugs. They don't have this. Or, I'm sorry, you know, they don't have this. They don't have the drugs. They don't have the money. They don't have me on the phone. It's like, he didn't realize that in the feds, you don't need any of that.
Conspiracy.
You need 3 guys to get up and say you were involved. That's it. And you're going to jail for 25 years or 30. In his case, I think 25 or 30.
I didn't even know there were female. Well, I know like teachers.
Yeah.
Get
Teachers
caught.
will have sex with a 14 or 15-year-old boy. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, I don't know about you, but you've seen some of these women, right, that are sleeping with a 15-year-old kid.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that kid, he's high-fiving every fucking kid in the. I mean, I get it. It's it's hard to say it's wrong. It is wrong. But I mean, as a 15-year-old, I've seen some of these chicks that you're like, these 35, 32, 34, 35, 28-year-old women, and the kid's like 15 or 16.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's okay, I get it. It's against the law, but, you know, listen, that kid's already.
Yeah, he ain't being harmed.
First of all, he's 15, 16. He's already banging chicks. Yeah. You're already banging chicks. This chick isn't 15 or 16. This chick happens to be 30.
Right.
And
with
so
a family.
Oh, that's horrible. Well, so she's. I get it. That's between her and her husband, though, right? So
I mean, kind of, yeah.
Yeah. To me, I don't know. Anyway, whatever. So
in feds, because I think she did state time.
Yeah, she did state.
So in feds, what happens if like? Is there PC or like how does that work?
Look, if you're a sex offender and you go into general population, you can basically, if you said you were being threatened or you were scared, you could go in and ask to be placed in the shoe, but they'll put you on the shoe and they'll maybe move you to another yard. But basically in the feds, the way they have it set up is they have the lows are essentially filled with sex offenders. They can't go to camps because for security risk, they're afraid they'll walk off and hurt somebody. But the lows are basically packed now, and there's so many sex offenders in most lows, they're really not bullied too much. In Coleman, they weren't bullied that much. Now they weren't really allowed
because there's so many of them.
There's so many of them, and yeah, there's so many of them, and it gets to the point where listen, there's still stuff they can't do. Like they don't get to come in the TV room. They don't get to, you know, they're like they can walk the yard. But look, do they get pushed around? And do they? They do. They get pushed around.
Right,
they definitely get. They're definitely the low man on the totem pole. And honestly, most of them just lie. When they get there, they start lying about their paperwork.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I've seen that in state. And state, it's what she's saying is true. It's hard to go PC. Like you have to be like you can't just say I'm in fear of my life and they're gonna put you in another camp. But it's hard to get in PC. So like you said, they just take them to confinement and usually they ship them so they can kind of start over somewhere else. Right. And the next thing you know, they hit the tour bus because every prison they go to, someone finds out and they ship them to another one.
Right. Yeah. And that's definitely the same case. Or they end up in the feds, they end up, it can be the same, but it depends. Look, like if it was a medium, they got a problem. If you go to a medium where most of the inmates have violence,
yeah.
You're staying in the unit all day long. As soon as they call chow, the last call for chow, that's when they leave. They go straight to chow. They get their food. They eat as fast as they can. They get out of the chow hall. They go straight back to the unit. They don't walk the yard. Nothing.
What happens if they do though? Like someone's
probably get beat up.
Yeah.
Or told, to be put in PC or to be put into the shoe or something, you really just have to get punched in the eye or something and show up with a bruise. And they'll be like, yeah, check him in.
Oh, First of all, it's easy then in feds.
In the feds, it's easy. Okay. And then in the low, but the thing is in the low, there's so many of them. They'll go there and they'll try and go in like, nobody's helping them. Even their defense attorneys aren't helping them. They'll be like, just
because they hate them.
They hate them. So they'll go into like, there's like, oh my God, what do I do when I get to prison? Like, are they these guys are telling me they're going to ask me for my paperwork. And so their lawyers who don't know anything about prison will tell them, just tell people that your lawyer said not to talk about your case, which you might as well walk in and say, hi, I'm a sex offender. And that's really what they might as well say.
Because then when you lie and they find out, it's a wrap.
Well,
then
first
they
of all,
get mad about that.
almost nobody comes in and says, like when they say, oh, well, what are you here for? My lawyer told me not to talk about my case. It's like, okay, yeah, but what were you charged with? My lawyer said not to talk about my case. Okay, you're a sex offender.
Yeah, your case is over, buddy. You're in prison.
You're done. At the very least, guess what? It's public records what your shit is. So if you don't want me to ask, that's a sure way to get found out. If you said, oh, I don't want to talk about my case. Oh, okay. Well, let's see. I know your name is John Roberts. You just go on the email system. Hey, can you look up this guy, John Roberts?
Yeah.
He was charged in the Middle District. And then your girlfriend sends you an article. Boom. He was one of 15 guys that were arrested for child pornography or whatever it is. And you're like, oh, man. So you're done. You're better off. They're better off is they come in and they explain some type of a charge that they can actually
defend.
Well, yeah, pull off like I got caught doing this and this and this and that's it. And then it makes sense. And then if they just stay to themselves, nobody's really going to bother them or pull their paperwork. They're going to ask them for their paperwork. But the guy says, look, man, I've been trying to get my paperwork sent in. And every time I get it sent in, the legal secretary, because they'd send it through legal, the legal secretary keeps finding my paperwork and she won't give it to me. You know, that makes sense, and maybe eventually people might believe that. But at the low, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, they're going to figure out that you're questionable, and the stand-up guys will stay away from you. They're not going to beat you up because they don't want to get shipped. And so the stand-up guys will stay away from you, and then the other guys that are like them they kind of congregate. And plus, the sex offenders you can spot.
Bro, when I was in prison in the dorm, you could tell because they all group up in the corner.
That's what I was just going to say. You can spot them. So they end up congregating together, and they'll have they get like a little gaggle of sex offender, little groups of them that will be together. And they'll have the Chomo band. They'll have the Chomo basketball team, the Chomo, everything is the Chomo this, the Chomo that. Oh yeah, no, he's a part of the Chomo band. Oh yeah, they're good, bro. They're good.
And they're always preaching the Bible too. Have you noticed that?
They always grab a Bible.
God forgives you.
Yeah, they always grab a Bible, and then they pick it up as they come in, and they drop it back off as they walk out. But it's like they'll do that to kind of justify hey, I did do some things wrong, but I'm a changed man.
Yeah, and you have a group usually in the dorm that does a prayer call where they all pray at a certain time at night. And that's a way for them to fit in because the people that are portraying the God life.
Yeah, they kind of have to accept it.
Exactly. Otherwise, you're a fake. So
right, because it's about forgiveness.
From that priest part. Good boy.
Oh, wow. Oh man. Yeah. Anyway, what's funny is they can't in Florida. They can't go to in Florida. They can't go to halfway house.
What at a feds? The sex offenders.
Sex offenders can't go to halfway houses in Florida.
Is that
the halfway houses won't take them?
Oh shit!
Because there was some back in the 80s or 90s, some sex offender went to a halfway house, and while in the halfway house, he went and kidnapped some kid and raped a little boy or something. And so the halfway houses said unanimously, we're not taking them anymore. And the feds, instead of saying, no, you have to take them, they said, okay, we understand.
Damn,
so now they just drop these
guys. Well, that's good.
Well, I mean, you're saying it's good, but now you're taking a guy who's been locked up for 5 or 10 years and you're dropping him off. Think about it. His family's given up on him. So you're dropping them off with no money in the middle of nowhere saying, hey, here you go for it. Good luck. Well, good luck. Well, what does this guy do? If they're under stress, they tend to recidivate. So what do? They go and they have no money, so they have to steal. They immediately have to start committing crimes to survive because you let this guy out and he's got 2 pairs of sweatpants and a couple of T-shirts, some some slides and some beat up fucking
2 days worth of clothes.
Got 2 days worth of clothes. What does he do? Well, maybe he goes as a day laborer. Maybe he lives outside for the next few days. He can get violated almost immediately because he doesn't have an address.
Right. And they may not even release him if he doesn't have an address.
Yeah, there's some problems. Bro, we could go on. It's like you're making it even worse, and you're putting society in even more harm's way.
Absolutely. Man.
Look, I get it. I mean, I get it. You don't want to help them. People don't want to help them. Fuck them. They're monsters. Screw them. But until we start just marching them off to the gas chambers and executing them like that, it's just one or the other. Either help the guy. You got to
live with them.
Right. Either help the guy assimilate back into society and watch him, or execute him. I mean, it's one or the other. What you're doing is they're putting them in prison for a little bit, releasing them, and they immediately start committing crimes again and go back to prison because they don't have any way to kind of get back into society.
But let's be real. That's most of the people that get out of prison.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what would you do, man, if you got, like, I always think about that. Like, if I would have got out of prison and had nobody and nowhere to go, like, how I would have.
Oh, I would have immediately started committing crime.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's the whole thing. To me, I didn't take the 1 year for RDAP. I didn't finish the program because if I did, it cut so far into my halfway house. I was going to end up with 3 months of halfway house. And I knew I couldn't save enough money in 3 months to get myself back, to get myself back into society. Like, I knew I needed at least 6 months. I got 7 months.
Damn.
I mean, that's how scared I was. I was trying to get a year. Like,
you were trying to stay in the halfway house.
Everybody was like, "Oh, I'm going home. You going home, cops?" Nope. What you? Oh man, you gonna stay here? Absolutely. I'm staying here every single day.
But how does it work there? So you have to go to work and then pay them, or
Yeah,
like
you give them like 30% of your 30% of your gross. So the IRS might take 25%, and then so if it's $1,000, your check's $1,000, and you're only getting $700, it's another $300 off of that. So you end up getting $400 out of your $1,000 check. You get $400 or $500, and so you got $500. So if you're making $700 or $800 a week, you're walking home with or at the end of the month at the end of the week you got $400. And
you can't survive on that.
Well, no, but you're in the halfway house, so they do feed you 3 meals a day.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah. So you get a bag lunch in the morning when you get breakfast.
Okay.
Then you get a bag lunch, which is, you know what it is. It's a bologna sandwich. Yes, a bologna sandwich, which I love, by the way. Everyone's like, fucking bologna sandwich. I love bologna sandwiches.
Yeah, steak wasn't bologna. It was like mystery meat. You didn't know what it was.
I think that's basically bologna.
Well,
Who knows what that is? But so
it's kind of true.
Yeah, you got a bag lunch with like a packet of like
mustard,
Kool-Aid, Kool-Aid, and you've got like maybe they'll make like a a bag of chips.
Yeah, or a protein bar or some shit.
Yeah, a really shitty protein bar.
Yeah, not real protein.
So they give you that. So there's my lunch, and then you go and then when you come back, you get a hot meal. So you do get everybody was like, yeah, bro, I went out, I ate this, I got this. And I'm like, I didn't spend any money. I was actually at the gym one time. And did I tell this story the other day about the chick at the gym? Okay, so there was a chick named Leanne at the gym. So I'm at the gym, and Leanne was going to go to get lunch for everybody. And Leanne's well, I'm going to Jimmy John's. And she's writing everybody's order. She goes, Matt, what do you want? I go, oh, no, I got a bag lunch. And she goes, no, come on. She said, eat something. You're always eating that stuff. Let's get you a good meal. And I went, yeah, I know, but I don't have any money. And she goes, oh, it's okay. I'll pay for it. And I looked at her and I went, no, you don't understand. I said, I don't have any money to pay for it. She goes, no, it's fine. I went, Leanne, I said, let me be very clear here. I said, if you are saying to me, Matt, I will pay for your lunch, and you are not expecting me to pay you back, because I said, don't think that in a week from now, I'm going to say, no, Leanne, I've got lunch today. I said, because I'm not doing it. I said, if you think, hey, Leanne, here's the $8 for that sandwich you bought me the other day. I said, that's never coming. I said, so if you're buying me lunch, you're doing it out of the goodness of your heart, and you know you're never getting that money back. I said, because guess what? I have a bag of lunch. I said, I have to save every penny I can.
What did she say?
And she looked at me and she goes, okay, I'll pay for your lunch. She said, I don't want anything back.
I love how you just turned that into a whole thing. Because
Absolutely.
that's what most people think.
You have to, though.
Yeah.
You have to, because what happens is a week later, she's like, oh, Matt, will you get me lunch? Yeah, will you give me lunch? No, I won't. And they think, you're an asshole. It's only $8. I have nothing.
Yeah, don't set expectations on me.
Absolutely. I'm nothing. I have to say, yeah, right. I'll eat my lunch. I have a free bag lunch.
Yeah, and like
Not
it.
free, but and I enjoy it. So yeah, she bought me a Jimmy
That's
John's.
crazy. I've never met somebody who liked their bag lunch in prison.
I mean, it was good. I didn't mind it. You remember how you get on the bus and they have the handcuffs and you have to eat.
Yeah, the red box.
You have to eat your hand, like you're chained. You can't raise your
black
hand.
box.
Yeah. And you can't do anything. And they give you a bag lunch and you have to eat it. You're going. I mean, it's like you're paralyzed.
Who's making the food for you in the halfway house though? Is that inmates or
no? They have a contract with somebody. Listen,
okay.
listen. That the food in the Tampa halfway house on Hillsborough is amazing.
Yeah, they have like a chef in there.
Every meal. You know, you always notice that there's always some inmates that just complain about everything.
Oh,
They just won't shut up.
Yep.
When I was in prison, I didn't complain. It took about 2-3 years for me to realize this. Complaining only made my time worse.
Yep.
It didn't help. It didn't change anything. It only made it worse. And I started realizing to stop complaining. They're feeding you. You're alive. You've got an out date. Shut your fucking mouth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not
Shut
going
up
to
and
change
be
anything.
Right. Be happy.
Yeah.
Be thankful. Be grateful. And when I got to the halfway house, bro, the food was so amazing, and people were still complaining. Oh, they overcooked this. They overcooked. Well, when you were kicking in people's doors and doing home invasions, did you think, well, if they catch me, at least they'll cook the green beans correctly? I mean, what were you thinking? What did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, what'd you think? This is like a restaurant in here,
Right,
bro.
yeah.
And he wasn't complaining when he was eating the shit in prison. That's worse, I'm sure, than the halfway house.
I'm sure this guy complained the whole time.
Yeah.
Right?
And what about the people that complain and then wait for officers to do shit and write them up?
Oh yeah,
Do they have that in the feds?
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
They've got guys in the feds that are filing. They file like lawsuits against the warden.
And then wonder why their time sucks.
I don't know why you did 6 months and then they put you on a bus and shipped you somewhere else, and then they put you in the hole for 6 months.
Yeah,
and
diesel
then they shipped you
therapy.
somewhere else, and they put you in the hole for 3 months and shipped you somewhere. I mean, what did you think was going to happen when you filed a $3 million lawsuit against the warden?
Yeah, that's ballsy, man.
It's ridiculous. Hey, if you like the video, do me a favor and subscribe. Hit the bell so that you get notified, and leave a comment in the comment section for the algorithm, and also share the video to all your friends and family in case they want to hear just some mindless chatter from two guys that don't know a whole lot about anything. So I appreciate you watching though. So this is Josh, and Josh has a channel. It's called DOCTV813.
My man.
Why the 813?
Area code.
No, I know.
And DOCTV was taken by like 3 other channels.
Really?
Yeah.